Hi everyone, I'm Linette. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know that you are from all over the world and you are all of us from different time zones. So thank you once more again for those who are here joining at 1 a.m. in the morning or rescheduling schools and everything. I really appreciate that you came here to learn something and to have a little bit of fun with me. It's really lovely and I'm very honored to be here. Thank you, ELEGOO, for creating this and putting this together, which is, as we were discussing here with Pat, it's a wonderful initiative. And I always love to see building communities for women and seeing all of what you have already been able to accomplish in your lives and what your ideas and projects that you would like to recreate now. And I'm very happy that I get to be here for a little bit and a glimpse of your journey to help you, support you, and maybe inspire you. Today, what we will be doing is that we are going to go this bag, which is an origami 3D bag that is designed as a 2D effect. So we are going to be discovering how we can actually work and think a little bit more about spatial design. And the fun part is that we are going to use a very simple tool like TinkerCAD, which is a designing platform that is designed for beginners. Even kids can use it. And the reason why I want to show you this platform is that I do believe that it's important when you are designing anything, even when you are starting, or even if you are a more experienced designer, to understand that the design doesn't come from having very hard tools and learning very complicated scripts. You can actually make very interesting things by just being able to think about your designs in a simplistic way and what you want to express. Let me now share my screen. So that's the story, how I actually started Makeful. And then one of the ways that Makeful has blown me onto these wonderful opportunities is the collaboration with companies that are aligned on the same mission like ELEGOO. And that's also the reason why I'm here, because I want to support other girls and women into exploring and having more fun with the world, in the world of fashion tech, and not just fashion tech, but the creative technologies in general. Just a couple of examples of the work that I have done prior. I'm very passionate about combining 3D printing and electronics and using digital tools as an expression of who you are, or some bodily systems or works and signals that our bodies have and how we can represent it outside of our body. When you ask me if I'm more the aesthetic person or the tech person, then I will always tell you that I'm mostly the tech person. I really am passionate about transforming different body signals and visualize it on top of the body. So one of the first things that I've done in the past, the first projects that weren't the best way done because I didn't know about flexible filaments, and so the only thing that I was printing from was mostly PLA or PET. So I have 3D printed these different decorations and ornaments for a sportswear t-shirt, and the sportswear t-shirt had integrated LEDs into a sleeve, and it was showing you the type of heart rate depending on the color. You knew in which heart rate zone you actually are, so you could adjust your training according to the visuals that you could see on your arm if you are, for example, out of the zone and you need to calm down a little bit, or if you are not even there, so you can push a little bit harder. Then in Fabricademy, I did this nice project, one of the programs I'm most proud of, which is a haptic suit. And it was a suit with integrated electronics made with e-textiles mostly. So it was a soft circuit. And the bodysuit was designed for the dancer to dance to according to the movements that she was doing. I also 3D printed on top this beautiful lines, and I was using a double colored PLA to make the visual of the top more like a optic illusion. So if you're walking past the body, the standing or the still mannequin, then you felt like the bodysuit is moving. So it was like showing these interesting optic illusion patterns. So I wanted to represent that actually the bodysuit is for movement, and even when it's still moving. And then the latest project that I've done was a representation of a heartbeat for astronauts, or for these captains that were simulating the zero gravity experience. Here in Czech Republic, we had a very nice organization that was working on having students to train and experience how it would be to go to space and have the feeling of experiencing the zero gravity and just floating in the air. And my role there was to recreate the design of the vest that they were wearing to showcase the emotional state of the participants. So it was displaying and showing and beaming the light on top of this little dress in the way that the participants were feeling in that moment. As I said at the beginning, I do think that it's very important to understand that the design, sometimes we get stuck in our heads and we think it might be scary, and you might be using wonderful tools. I also very much love Fusion 360 and Claw 3D and Rhino. But at many moments, we might be stuck in choosing the right tool and not thinking so much about the design. And I think that sometimes the simple tools and the simplest tools are very powerful. For example, this corset you can see here, which was designed by one of my students who passed through my past workshop, was completely entirely designed in TinkerCAD, which is, as I will show to you, or as you've seen it before, a program that was designed for kids. So it's not so much about, and if you were worried, for example, that you have to learn these incredible long scripts, which are lovely to use, and it's very much fun to do so, but it doesn't have to start there. It really is about your imagination, your ideas, and most of the very simplest tool can help you bring them to life. And not only they can help you to bring them to life, but also they can help you not get stuck in a cycle of making everything perfect. Because the tool, if as simple as it is, it doesn't let you like spiral. And I know that everyone knows the feeling when you're spiraling in how much better or how many more things you could be doing. These are other examples of the things that have been designed in TinkerCAD. So as I've said to you, like there is actually almost no limitation to how you can use the software. It's a very simple tool. We will get into it in a second, but you can design this tank top. This tank top was designed by another student of mine, or these beautiful earrings, or this this handbag that is designed for little girls to learn how to do 3D printing or 3D printed fashion with simple PLA project. Now we will be designing this beautiful origami bag, and I have to give credits at this point to my intern Vlad, because this design was made by him. He is a wonderful student of mine, wonderful intern of mine, and as we were discussing what would be a nice topic to do, I said that I would love to do something simple, and I had actually a different design for you prepared. And then he came with this beautiful bag, and I said, no, I have to show this to the ladies, they will love it. And of course, with his permission, he said he was very glad for me to show you what are the things that can be done in TinkerCAD even when you are just starting, because he's just starting on his journey to learn 3D designing and 3D printed fashion. But I wanted to give him credit for the bag and for the design, because I fell in love with it as in the moment that I saw it. And I want to show you how simple it is to actually create something that looks maybe a little complex. So what we are going to need now is that we are going to jump into TinkerCAD. And as you can see here on the picture, it might look like it's a complicated pattern, but if you look at it and just divide the square into 4 parts, then you can see that all of the 4 parts are the same. So what we are going to do is that we are just going to design one of the parts. Then we are going to copy them, export the file, and just open our slicers to let our printers 3D print it. Let me jump straight to TinkerCAD. I'm not sure if you have your TinkerCAD accounts. I want to let you know that you can definitely follow along now with me. I'm going to take you step by step on how you can do the back and design the back. But if you would like to just then rewatch the recording and pause it, then of course you can do it afterwards. But I also want to invite you to follow along if you would like to. So you see how it is easy to create also an account. We are going to create a personal account. TinkerCAD is made for education. So of course they have a very beautiful system that lets you also create classes and have your own educator's account and have access to your students' account. But today we are going to create our own personal account. And let me sign up with an email. It's very simple. You can just fill in some personal details, which I don't usually like to share with any all of our TinkerCAD friends. Please forgive me, but I don't like to share my personal things with any software. So usually I put just in there some random information unless it's very important. And then I am going to add an email and add some password. And that is basically the only thing that we need to do to have our accounts set up. And once it's done, you will be inside of the app. And as I have told you, it's a very simple tool, a very simple designing tool. Instead of using vectors, you are using pre-prepared objects. And apart from 3D designs, you can also do circuits. So you can even train yourself to create electronic circuits. I do like to use TinkerCAD to pre-model my circuits and to test them virtually, because if you do it virtually, then you are safe and nothing can happen to you. And it's quite powerful, and most of the times there are a lot of things a lot of components that I already have pre-prepared in TinkerCAD that I'm using. So it's quite useful to test all my circuits. And you can also do a little bit of programming, some parametric design with code blocks. And as I said, it's very simple, but it's also possible to do so. But today we are going to create our 3D design. We are going to stick with the designing part. So let me get back to the tool. In TinkerCAD, TinkerCAD is a wonderful tool that has this is a work plane. This is a place where you actually design and where you create your designs. I always say that it's very important to have every design that we actually want to work with, either export or use for any animation, to have it always stuck here on the work plane. And then we have two important menus. This one on the left is the menu that lets us either change the view, perspective, or use the control motions to move the setup of the work plane. So either we can zoom in, zoom out, change the perspective, so we can switch off to flat view, or we have the 3D view. And on the other side, we have all of the objects that are already prepared for us. So for example, you don't have to be like designing the box. We are going to make our objects by combining like positive and negative space. So we always just use the objects, and either the objects are full, like for example, this box, or it can be the negative space, which is the full, empty square, empty box. And then we can use the positive and the negative space to create another object. So for example, if I group these two together, then I get this L-shaped 3D object or 3D design. Then I can do any other stuff with to recreate the object. So it's a very simple tool in which you don't have to have so much knowledge about like vector 3D design, but you have to have like the creative imagination of how are we able to create something using the positive and negative spaces, or subtracting space and objects from other objects. So let me show you how we will start, and we will definitely going to start with the box, and I will ask you to bring the box in the middle of the work plane, and we're going to adjust the height and the space of the box. So because we are recreating the base of the bag. So the thing that you need to do is just push the bag to the sides and make it 190 to 190 millimeters, which is 19 centimeters. I am in Europe, I'm in Czech, so I'm using millimeters, centimeters, I'm using metric system. But if you'd like to use inches, then in settings, you can switch it to inches, and then you will have it also in inches, but then I think it's easier if you to follow along my workshop. Then it's easier for you to have it set up to millimeters, so you don't have to keep recounting it. Now, what we are going to do is that we are going to make the bag of a specific height, and we don't want it to be too high. We actually just want it to be quite. So we are going to find the balance between having it tough, but also a little bit flexible. So I'm going to make by this clicking on this middle square, and I'm going to make it a little bit thinner. And we are going to make the height of the square 2 millimeters. And 2 millimeters sounds like a very thin, very thin fabric or very thin design. But still, if you print it out, you'll see that it's quite a bit of fabric. So let's just make it 2 millimeters. You can also change the color of the objects that you are using. You can do it in TinkerCAD by clicking here on the red color, because that's the default color of the box or rectangle shape. But you can choose whichever color you want. So you can choose any color that pleases your eyes. And from this actual shape, we are going to create the rest of our design. So if you can switch and move this box into a top view, and then click on switch to flat view, which is going to make it look as if it was 2D design. And it's always easier for us to work when we are like creating specific ornaments on top on some objects, to switch to 2D flat design. And then I want you to click on his lock screen, in which you are going to lock the bottom, the baseline, so it doesn't move anywhere, and so we can freely adjust the rest of our program and of our project. Now, as we have it, we are going to click here on another box, and the box is going to be the empty box. So if you don't have it here on your menu, because it might not be there as a first default, then you can just take the red box, put it here in the top left corner, and then switch to the hole, which is the negative space that we need. It's important that you put it and align it with the top left corner, and we are going to do the same thing for also the others. So you're going to need 4 of these boxes. You can leave them in, you can copy paste them using Command or Control C and Control V, or there are buttons that you can use at the top. If I have the square selected, then I can click here on copy and paste, and then it creates a second object. We are for now going to just paste them as they are, because you might be asking yourself, well, how do I know that it's actually perfectly aligned? We are going to do it at the end. Now we are going to recreate and redesign the middle of the bag, so we can actually have and get the 3D origami effect. For that, we are going to be now using a lot of these negative boxes. So we are just going to grab one of the negative boxes, put it somewhere in the middle. It doesn't matter for now where you actually place it. And we are going to change the dimensions. So we are going to click here and push the black square downstairs, and make it 100. Oh, we can make it a little longer, 120 long. but we are going to make it a little bit thinner, so it's not going to be so wide, and the width is going to be 3 millimeters. So you can either do it by moving the dots, the black squares or the white squares, or you can click on the white square and just write it down. So I'm going to write down 3 millimeters here, and here I'm going to write down 120 millimeters, which is 12 centimeters. I'm going to push it somewhere here on the side. And again, it doesn't matter that it's not perfectly aligned now. We are going to align it at the end when we have all of the lines that we need. Now we're going to duplicate this line, and by duplicating, I mean clicking here on duplicate and repeat. You can find the duplicate and repeat button at the top left corner of the menu. And when you click on it, it will recreate a new object, but you won't be able to see it because it's duplicating exactly with the same properties as the first one, including the position as it is. So they are hidden, one of the objects is hidden behind the other. So we're going to move the object. And if you want to make sure that you're moving the object straight, you can hold the shift key and it won't let you like wiggle with the object, only in horizontal and vertical line straight to the previous or the first objects that you have. So we're going to make another object, and we're going to give there 20 millimeters space. And now if you click again on the duplicate button, now we're going to click here on the, please first select the duplicated piece and then click again on the duplicate button and then move one more line towards the center. This line needs to be a little bit thinner and a little bit smaller. So to make it easy for us, we're going to click on the white squares and we're going to change the dimension to 0.5 millimeters. And we're going to make it actually smaller, and we're going to say that it's 60. And we're going to move it somewhere in the middle of those two lines. But don't worry about it. As I said, we are going to then adjust it and align it so it looks perfect. But now we're just creating the piece that we need. Now, as we have it, we are going to, again, duplicate. And maybe let's duplicate the thinner line because we're going to use the thinner line. So click on the thinner line, select it, click on duplicate, and then move one line into the middle of these two lines and then slide it a little bit up. Then again, you can click again on duplicate. It's quite a bit of repetition. And then we're going to move that to side again and slide it even a bit further. If you have it done, another thing that we need to do is to duplicate again this middle line that's been selected and make a copy that is going to be on the other side. So we are going to slide it again a little bit down and duplicate this one as well. Hold the shift key again and slide it down as well. In this way, we already have the base pattern that we are going to be using to actually create the origami, the openings that will let us then have the bag with the origami effect. Now, your question might be, how do we make sure that the bag, that all of the holes are actually aligned and that we have all of the pattern all over the bag, so it actually makes the 3D effect? So it's going to be quite simple, but you have to keep actually watching and looking, and it's not tricky, it just needs a little bit of precision, not as much precision that it's scary, but you have to be quite precise and understand how to do it. So it's quite few simple steps that we are going to repeat over and over again as we did with the duplicating system. So we are going to select these two lines that we have and make sure that the distance between these two lines is quite small. Don't make it too big. And make sure that the distance that these two lines are not too far away from this middle line, by which I mean that you don't have, for example, this line too further away from the center. The distance needs to be quite small, and then it can be a little bit further than this line, but it needs to be not too far away. Now select these two lines, and you can use this group button to group these two objects together. I'll explain to you and show you in a minute why do we need to do it. Or maybe I'll explain it to you now. So don't do the steps that I will be doing right now. I want to show you why do we need to group these two objects. We will want to align all of the lines that we have here so they are very nicely centered. And if I select all of these lines by clicking somewhere far away on the display, and then just creating this red square by pushing my mouse, and then selecting the parts that are inside of the red square. Then if I now click on the button Align and choose that I want to align them vertically or no, horizontally, then you will see that these lines that weren't grouped will be actually, both of them will be aligned to the center, which will mean that they will be they will disappear behind one another. So what we need to do is just to make sure to group them so they work as a object, as one object. And if I do group them, you can do it now. You can select both of them and group them using the group button. And then when I click again on the align button to align them, it's going to be aligned, but they will be perceived as one entire object. So we are not going to hide one another behind each other, and they are not going to merge or disappear into one. They're going to stay there because they are the representation of them is as if they were one object that we need to center. So I'm just going to show you again in case I did it too quickly. So what I want you to do now is to click on the top object, click on the bottom object, click here on group, and then just select all of the pieces. Just make sure that you're not selecting also the squares at the corners, and click on align and click here on the vertical. If you see a gray color when you click on the button, then it means that it's already is aligned. So sometimes when you're trying to align something, you will figure out that you actually by accident already made it straight. So if you already see this button to be gray and not black, then it means that it's already aligned. Now, as we have it, the other thing I want you to do is to group all of the pieces that are now perfectly aligned. And we are going to duplicate the entire group. So we're going to click on duplicate. We're going to hold the shift key and move the group on the other side. It doesn't really matter now where. And we are going to do a small trick, which is just mirroring the object. So we are going to click on mirror, and we're going to choose these arrows that is going to show us in which way we want to mirror. So we want to mirror with the x-axis, not with the y. We want to mirror with the x-axis, and it's going to switch the objects to the other side. Now we are going to click on the first and the second object, and we are going to make them a group as well. As we have the group now, we are going to duplicate again, and instead of moving the object, we're just going to use this circle effect, which is just turning your objects around. And we're going to turn the entire duplicated object around. And we're going to switch it by 90 degrees. Now you can already see that we are getting the pattern that we so much desired. And to make sure that we have all of the pieces in the center, then we are going to ungroup or unlock the bottom piece. So the baseline, that's very important. So unlock the baseline, and you can click on the baseline and then click on the unlock. And then just make sure to click on the group section and then on the second group section, and also select the baseline and click on the align button. And you just need to align vertically and horizontally. So these two dots, y-axis and the x-axis, has to be gray dots. We are going to do now a specific thing that needs to be done just to make sure that we are going to cut through our pre-prepared pattern. So we actually have the bag, is that we are going to click back at the base. We're going to lock the base. You can have a look from the home view. So just click on the home view and it will get you straight back to the way you were looking at it at the beginning. So it's the base view. Now we are going to select all of the pieces, but we are going to select only the negative spaces. And we want to make sure that we are going to actually cut through the bag. So what you need to do is just push the piece to go a little bit down. So instead of having it set to 0, which you will see, you just select all of the pieces, click on the arrow at the top, and you just push the arrow down. We click back to the top view, unlock the base shape, and then just click on group. And once you did it, you will get a specific shape of openings inside of your base. So we will have the design for the bag. Before we export our bag, we're just going to make one more thing that I want you to do to make it a little bit more interesting, and that's get the square or the box that we have, the full one, not the negative space, and just put it on the top of the base and just fill the middle square with this box. And we can make it, you can make it as big as you want to. I'm doing it 60, but make it a true square so it looks squarish, not rectangular. So I'm going to make it 65 millimeters times 65 millimeters. And then just to make sure that it's also aligned, I'm going to select everything by clicking at the top corner and just, creating and selecting all of the pieces, and then click on align in the middle and on the other side. And then I'm going to switch the view to the home view. And just to make sure that this is not too high, because we don't want it extra high, we just want it a little bit high, then I am going to make it 3 millimeters. And to make sure that it actually is part of the bag, then I'm also going to click on the arrow and just push it down by 1 millimeter. You can see on the side, let me zoom in. Here on the side, you will see that how did you change your height. So my baseline was 0, or this is 0 baseline, but we want it to be 1. So it's like 1 up from the baseline or from the work plane. Now you can adjust it, just select it again, and just connect it so it's one piece. It's important for you to export the file, so don't forget to rename it. So instead of a stunning lelo, which you will have a completely different randomly generated name, you can write down 3D bag design. I also like to add always there the dimensions of the bag, because it just makes all of my files neat. Sometimes you will just want to print it smaller, sometimes you will just want to print it bigger. So I'll just keep also the dimensions of the bag there, so I know. So this is 190 times 190 times 4. Maybe instead of 3D bag design, I can also add origami. So I know maybe origami is enough, so it's not too long. And then I can take away the design like this. Then you just export the file, and you can see that you can choose different files in which you would like to export it. I'm going to use an STL file, and it's going to be exported to your default folder that you have set up for your browser. So sometimes I'm using Google Chrome, so it doesn't pop up to me. I already have it defaultly to save to my to my downloads folder, but maybe you're on a different operation, on different computer with different operating system. So it will prompt you to ask you where do you want to save it. So well, you can do it according to your computer's needs. We have 7 more minutes, and in the 7 more minutes, I just want to show you how you can even have a little bit more fun with the structure of the bag in our slicers. So I am going to open ELEGOO slicer, but you can use Cura or any slicer you're used to. It's very actually simple. I'm using, to print the bag, I was using the ELEGOO TPU 95, which is a very nice TPU to print from, and it's a very super beginner friendly. So if you are starting with 3D printed textiles, I recommend you to use actually TPU that is of tougher shore hardness, because it's much easier to print from. And for starters, it's always like better to feel victorious than to feel frustrated. So if you have the chance to use different TPUs, then I would definitely start with the one that has is around 90, 95, or I would say 82. The smallest number that I would actually suggest to anyone who is starting. If you feel comfortable, then you can start with 82A and go even with 70A, but it needs a little bit of tweaking to know how to print with it. But for this bag, and for the bag specifically, if you are trying, and we were trying to recreate like leather feeling, and then I definitely recommend you to use the TPUs around with your hardness around 90, 95A. I'm going to open the ELEGOO slicer, and I'm going to open a new project, and I'm going to at the top in print import my downloaded bag. And I want to show you just one simple trick. Of course, you will probably know how to set up your printer, so and set up the print settings. And as I said, like if you're using ELEGOO slicer and using ELEGOO TPU, then you can just, there is already like pre-prepared filament setup and a print and printer setup as well. All of the settings are there, so you don't have to be like retweaking it and looking for the information. But one of the fun things that I wanted to show you is that we can work also with the top of our bag and have funny designs also using the infills. So you can use infills to modify and recreate different structures on our bag. So for example, I can go here to the strength, and I can say that I don't want any top shell layers. So it will uncover the infill that we have in the middle. We will still have at the bottom some solid layers. So we will have some solid shells, and we can say that we want 5 of them. But then we are going to be left with the infill pattern that we can change. So for example, if I want to, I can say that at the top, I want to have, for example, my favorite Hilbert's curves, and I want them to be a little bit more dense. So instead of 15, I want the density to be 40. I'm going to slice it now so you see what I'm talking about. And instead of, let me just make the window bigger. Instead of having the top just straight lines, I can have these beautiful maze-like textile, like pattern on top of the bag. So if I change it here, I can say, for example, let's say something different. Let's do Archimedia chords. Then I can have these spirals on top of the bag as well, which will be visible as you print it, and it will create another beautiful effect on something that is so simple. So sometimes it's not about like using hundreds of tools and very complex tools. Sometimes it's just having fun with the tools that we already have that we are already using for our printing, and just being creative with the options and possibilities that we already are using. I know that I've just speed run through how to create this design, but I hope that you will at least catch the most important parts. I hope that you will try to recreate the bag. Let me know if you did try it. Post it on social media, tag me, tag ELEGOO, so we can see your results. Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Thank
Happy
you.
to have you
Bye.
here. Bye-bye.
Yeah.